Hello, soul friends. So today's reading is all about what's going on with your dark side. What is going on with your dark side? Um, Basically, what that means is we all have a dark side. Okay. The main thing that we learn from our dark side is how to accept that it's there, embrace it, okay, and move forward. All right. So if we don't look at the darker aspects of our personalities, we might never learn more about the good parts of our personalities. So remember, no matter your individual beliefs, tarot or oracle reading is simply your spirit guides coming forward to give you advice, or it is just your subconscious mind helping you answer life's ponders. And no matter how you look at that, it's healthy and you're in the right place. So welcome back. If you are new, welcome for the first time. Today, we are just going to be looking at these images, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, just as a spoiler alert, this is a tarot deck. These are oracle decks, okay? I still want you to pick on the images because whichever one you pick, we're going to use that for the bulk of your reading, but we're also going to use the two other decks in your reading regardless of which one you pick. Okay. All right. So go ahead and focus in. Think about the darker aspects of your personality, even if you're such a good little thing that you just don't even know what those are. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and show you the decks we are using today. All of these decks are by the same artists. This one right here, the box that first came in back in the day when I first got these is just plain white. So here is the title, the creators, and a website for the guidebook. Okay. They also have an Instagram and Etsy site where you can look at their work, buy their work, etc. and so forth. And I will put those in the description box. I also have reviews for all these decks as well. So that is this one right here that we just looked at. This one is the tarot deck, and it's the Haunted Cat Tarot. Sorry for the glare. And then this one right here is the Dreams and Incarnations Oracle. All right. Go check them out on Etsy. Go check them out on Instagram. They have wonderful deals on not just cards, but artwork as well, paintings and such. All right. Originals, prints, you name it. And all their work is very similar to what you're seeing here, okay? Just that beautiful, dark, kind of bare branches, black cats. It's fantastic. So go ahead and focus on your piles, pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. We will see you in your individual readings. Bye-bye-bye. Hello, pile 1. So if you picked this pile, we're going to get your shadow aspects first, or your dark side aspects first. Then I'm going to get clarification about your light aspects from the tarot deck in this particular case, and then what it means in your overall life journey with this deck. Okay, so let's just get ahead and get started. Okay. All right, so are we ready to see what's going on with your dark side? Let us begin. Strength. reversal. The door of dreams. Winter. And greed. Okay. So right off the bat, with the strength card, part of your dark side is the fact that you are strong and you know you are. So that makes you fearless, okay? And remember, I'm just saying dark side. I'm not saying your bad side or your weak side. A lot of times, our darkest self is our strongest self. See what I'm saying? So, like, with the strength card, I see you as being this non-compromising, like, force to be reckoned with, which can be a good thing. And it could be a bad thing, just depending on how much you wield that strength. Okay? That being said, let me get into... Anyway, sorry. Let me get into this reversal card. So I'm trying to get my shadow out of you guys' way. I'm going to sit down. So if this starts getting funny up above and I don't see it, it's because I came down here to stop putting a shadow over everything. And here we are. All right. So with the reversal card, and I think what I'll do is with these, I will stand up and show you, and then I'll sit back down. Okay. There we are. Notice like all the little details. There we go. Sort of like there's like a little opening down here. There's also like a lot of stuff going on in the details on all of these cards. The colors are also significant and could be significant to you as well. So with reversal, this usually suggests something about something is opposite from what you want to see. I think sometimes like you see what you... let me think. It's like sometimes you see the opposite of what is true, perhaps, is what I'm kind of hearing. Almost like, for example, maybe you automatically assume that people don't like you when actually that is not true and they like you just fine. But they might like not like you after a while if you like lash out at them because you assume they don't like you. And that's just a for instance. I'm not necessarily feeling that from this pile. It can also mean like kind of hanged man energy from tarot, of like that idea of like a shifting in your view, needing to look at things from a different perspective. So a lot of times that could mean being stuck in one mindset. It could be feeling like you're being delayed when really you're kind of holding yourself back. It could also mean that you just need to look at things differently than how you're looking at them currently. So that being said, the Door of Dreams, which is such a beautiful card, notice how the door is just starting to open, okay? I think that what the overall message here with that is, with your shadow aspect, is that possibly for some of you, it could very well mean that you, if you don't see things the way you need to, it could shut those doors, okay? It could also mean that your reversal in sight kind of clouds your intuition about what's real, okay? It also could cloud your view of what you really want. And it could cloud your view of what you really want in like a long-term aspect, like career, family, relationships, etc. And so, yes. Okay. And that could bring on kind of a wintry side to you. I think sometimes you might ice people out because of the way that you see things happening. And you're a strong person. You can hack it. It's not like you go home and cry like, I'm so lonely. But you might be rejecting or pushing things away when you might not necessarily need to. Or you might be seeing things that you don't, seeing obstacles where there aren't any. Okay. Or seeing barrenness when there's actually like room for growth. With the winter card, I'm also seeing that tied to the strength card, in that your ability to survive in icy conditions is something that is a strength, right? That you're strong enough to be able to like survive on your own. But the overall like message that I'm seeing, like, that might not necessarily be necessary. Okay. I think also with the winter card, part of your dark side is that, yeah, you can definitely live with very little. I see that as you not being greedy. Does that make sense? I think sometimes your strength and your way that you see things and the way that you kind of ice people out sometimes could possibly be seen as selfish by some, or that you're greedy with your own time. To those that want a piece of you, you don't really give them that, some of you. And some people really do want a piece of some of you, because like I see these like strength aspects to your personality as being very attractive and very appealing to a lot of people, romantically, professionally, platonically. Okay. But I think a lot of times when you don't see things people's way, they see you as being like selfish or sort of greedy in that. So let's get some tarot and see how your shadow balances with your light. Hello, hello. I know I want this one for sure. And there's, okay. Take this one. All right. I feel good about that. Oh, okay. I know I wanted that one for sure. Let's go with these two. Okay. All right, skis. My night skis. We might have to kind of zoom and then push a little bit to get center stage on these cards down here. You might have to pause the video if you want to like remember your cards, because I got to make room. So let's see what we got for tarot. We have 10 of moons. So in this particular deck, just to make sure that we're all clear, moons are like the swords, okay? Staves are wands, chalices are cups, and then tombs are the pentacles. So we have 9 of chalices. We have the 3 of moons. We have the Tower. Okay, yep. This is all making sense. And then we have, yep, the Chariot. Okay, so what I'm seeing here with your light aspects is that because of your strength, my friends, you're able to, no matter what, always like move forward with that strength and that resilience and that individual resilience of just like being able to drag yourself out of any situation. Uh, that Ten of Wands energy where, or I'm sorry, Ten of Swords energy where like, it's just like that guy laying on the ground with just all these swords stuck in them. Notice how in this particular instance, we got all these like moon cycles. In that particular case, it's like the Ten of Swords often like talks about like the completion of something. In fact, all the tens kind of do. But it talks about like the completion of something in a way that's like it's done. There's nothing else that can be done with that situation. Okay. And yet you see like this like sunrise in the distance. And so you get this idea of like, no matter how bleak this situation has gotten or hopeless, there's always this horizon of new beginnings and hope on the horizon as long as you're just strong enough to get back up and try. Okay. I see that with this energy, you're always willing to get back up and try, even when you're totally alone, even when you don't have to be. You're just unwilling to do that whole giving up thing. Okay. With the Nine of Chalices, that mindset has like earned you a lot of reward in your life. It will continue to earn you a lot of reward in your life. It is something that you generally generate in a positive way more than you would generate it in a negative way. I think a lot of times the people that you do ice out, I don't feel like you're missing out on too much there, like anything life changing for a lot of cases. I just feel like a lot of times you might feel like you have to do that when you didn't have to. I also see with your strength that, yeah, you overcome that Three of Moons, which is that also that idea of like that Three of Swords heartache. See how they're kind of bleeding? Okay. That heartache card of that idea of like walking around with like just stuff just sticking out of you and not like pulling it out and doctoring yourself to better, right? I'm also seeing with your resiliency that you're able to heal yourself without much help of other people as well. I also noticed that with this Tower card, the Tower card usually shows like some kind of like tower crumbling. Like this could be seen as like a crack in this foundation here that this cat is sitting on all proudly, okay? But what I see back here are like two other like towers that he could easily hop to and do what he needs to do. Like the tower is never about like an ending. It's about an upheaval usually, or crumbling of a foundation that wasn't strong enough to begin with. And it cleanses and gets us ready to rebuild something stronger. That being said, in this particular deck, and I haven't really read the guidebook because I don't usually do that. I try to go with my own intuition. So like, I never mean any disrespect to like creators and their guidebooks, but usually I like to get a feel of the cards and then read the guidebooks later and get more intuition for them and see them in different ways, get different interpretations and different spread ideas. Anyway, in this particular card, he's not tumbling just yet, right? And so I get this idea that like part of the light aspect of your darkness character, that strength and hard nose, like is that you can rebuild, you heal yourself and you can rebuild from any disaster. Does that make sense? You rebuild from any tower moment. Like I'm sensing these strong, like rising from the ashes over and over again. Like you almost expect it in your life because you've been through it and done it so many times. You've almost perfected like the art of like being broken down to nothing and building yourself back up again. But I think the overall message with your shadow aspect and your dark side is that sometimes it's a little bit harder than it needs to be because of that shadow aspect and dark side of yourself. Okay. With the Chariot, I'm also seeing that with that strength that you have and with that hard-nosed, almost black and white thinking, like you are able to also, build anything back up that is crumbling, heal your own heart, build back up your own foundations, and find your own balance. Okay, the Chariot's always about that guy just like wrangling into like horses that are like totally opposite, right? And like doing it damn well, right? That's what I'm seeing here with the Chariot vibes. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and see what this looks like in your overall life path, which might sound kind of redundant because I'm kind of, I notice I'm kind of like bleeding into all of those explanations already. Okay, for these ones, we're just going to go right over the top of the other. So go ahead and pause and rewind and get all those images if you need to look back. And let's see, what does all this mean for your overall life path at this time for my pile ones? Let us see. We have storm, betrayal, dystopia, and terror. I'm feeling this one too, call to me. And the poet, excellent. Okay, so this is what I'm seeing for your overall life path, my friends. Let me scooch these so you can see the beautiful art, and I will hold them up to the camera as well as I go. Sorry for my shadow. I know I was trying not to do that, but here we are. I might have to zoom out just a little bit. There we go. Okay, my friends, with this first card, the storm card, I'm seeing with your overall life path, y'all, I never want to like sound negative in my readings or like scare people or sound doomsday-ish, any of that, okay? And that's never what my readings are about, okay? However, I think we can all agree that we're in sort of a dark time in our world, globally speaking, because of social media. A lot of times it's a good thing because we can keep in touch, we can learn, we can do all these things, but we also see a lot of the like tragedy and really awful things that are going on in the world. And like some people are like, oh, well, you can't shut your eyes to that. I agree, hypothetical person, hypothetical arguer. I agree with you. However, that being said, I don't know what I'm saying. I just totally went blank. Okay, that being said, it's still like stuff that might be beyond your control, like even if you know about it. Does that make sense? Thank you. Anywho, you poor people are like, get out of this, get off of this channel. I can't stand it. But that being said, like you see the betrayal happening in the world. You see like the wars, okay, and the terror. Does that make sense? Sorry, I'm getting all kinds of pressure in my throat. But what I'm seeing in your life path, because you are such hard-nosed, gritty, like warrior cats is what I'm seeing here with this pile. I'm seeing that you're not blind to any of the injustices and the terror and how, you know, we try to create this perfect world and these perfect societies, but there's always these weird twisted elements to it that are like disgusting and just cut down on like human rights and everything else that you can even imagine. And it just like brings everyone's morale down so low. What I like about the energy that I see about you guys is that like, you know that this is how the world can be. But I want you to focus on this card here. Like even through the storm, the betrayal, the dystopia, the war, etc. and so forth, okay? You continue to be the poet. And like, I love that it's like a little skeleton playing, okay? Because it still adds to that kind of dark, macabre feel of like, as society crumbles, you know, there is still love, there's still music, there's still beauty. And like, I love how this card is colorful and all the rest of them are kind of a little bit more on the dark side. I made a little funny about the title of the video. Did you catch up on that? It's so clever. So working out for me being clever. Okay, y'all. So what I want you to embrace is that idea of like, first fight, then fiddle. That's a poem. If you don't know, just look it up. It's very famous. I can't remember the name of the author, but the beauty of the internet is you only need one or the other to find stuff. So first fight, then fiddle, is that whole idea, that gritty sort of like gritty European old world idea of like, we're all going to go out there and like get gutted and just like cracked skulls and wars and drowning and just brutality. But when we survive, let's enjoy ourselves. Let's, play music. Let's drink. Let's make love. Let's do all those wonderful things, right? That life has to offer whilst we can. We'll keep that Nine of Cups energy, right? We'll keep that healing of heartache, no matter who is with us to see it. We do it our own dang selves. We pull ourselves up and pull all those swords out of ourselves and walk towards that sunrise. We rebuild those foundations every time they crumble, and we get ourselves wrangled in and balanced every time chaos unfolds. And that is what I'm seeing for your life path. If you are thinking about going into a career of some kind, like you're not in a career already, where it's kind of a bold choice, go for it. Like you have a warrior spirit, my pile ones. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for being here. If it was helpful, please give me comments on how it was helpful. Also, like and subscribe, share, and please give me topic ideas. And then you can also book a private reading with me. There are a couple of different ways to do that in the description box. You can always send me an email on the email that is listed in the description box, and I will always get back to you and answer any questions that you have. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day whenever you are watching this. Take care, my pile ones. Bye. Hello, pile twos. So if you picked the tarot deck for your dark side shadow reading, let's go ahead and get into what we are going to see. Okay. So let's look at your shadow aspects first. Then I'm going to use this deck to show how your shadow aspects complement your light aspects. And then I'm going to use this deck for your life path information. And then in the third one, I'll just do the opposites of all the ones that I've done so far. All right. I hope that made sense. Everybody's like, no. Okay, let's move right along. First off, we have the Queen of Staves, or Queen of Wands. The Page of Moons, or Page of Swords. The Seven of Tombs, or Seven of Pentacles. The King of Tombs, or King of Swords. And the Knight of Chalices, but it's spun around. So I'm going to actually take that as a reversal. Even though the cards' backs don't read reversal-wise, that's usually how I choose. I'm going to go with the fact that it spun that hard. Okay, so let's talk about these wonderful little cards and your dark side, my friends. So with the Queen of Staves, Queen of Wands and Queen of Staves energy is kind of like a strong, like earthy kind of like vibe, but it's also like a strong fiery vibe as well. So she's like a nurturing person in an inspiring way, in a spiritual way, okay? If that makes sense to y'alls. So in that particular case, I'm seeing that in the dark side of that, like a lot of times the dark side of the Queen of Wands is that she can be a little too fiery sometimes, right? Or that she could be a little, oh, I don't know what the word would be, like maybe a little too commanding at times in some cases. Okay. And so I see with your shadow aspect and your dark side is that sometimes your nurturing side can kind of come off more as a little more commanding, maybe a little more overbearing at times, okay, of like being fiery and sure that you're right when it might not even be a case of somebody being right or wrong. It might be just a case of somebody um, being different. You know what I'm saying? So, that being said, there's something else that I want to say about the energy of the staves. Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's what I'm, okay. She's also confident. Fieriness is always like linked to like confidence, okay, and being inspirational. So, like, sometimes that also could look cocky, okay, as part of your dark side, all right? With the Page of Moons, I'm also seeing with your dark side that you could be just a little bit free with how you speak, and that might come off as being kind of harsh at times to people, okay? Um, like you're communicative, but you could be a little bit like harsh about it at times, perhaps, or like say things when it's like everyone's thinking it, but it's just, read the room. It might not be the right time kind of deal. I'm not to say that you're ignorant of doing that. It's almost like even if it's not the right time, you're like, to hell with that. I'm just going to say it anyway, kind of idea. Um, your wit is definitely like something that I'm feeling like you might have like a sharp tongue or a witty tongue. Okay. You might insist on being right quite a bit. Okay. And that can sometimes be considered a darker attribute of you. Okay. With the Seven of Tombs, notice how he's surrounded by all these like markers, and then there's like one tomb behind him that is bigger. Okay. Um, it's like you have this, your wit leads also to this high intellect. Okay. This like almost like it's not even like an intellect, it's almost like a second sight, or like you can almost like precognitively like see things before they happen. Not that you're like psychic necessarily, just that you are so smart and you've observed so much over the course of your life and past lives, perhaps, if you believe in that sort of thing, that you've kind of seen it all and you just kind of know what you know. Does that make sense? You also don't worry about like short-term gains. Okay. It's more like about the big picture of like, I don't care about getting all these, I'm gonna get that. Okay. At sometimes it could be seen as you only wanting the best for yourself, which I never see as a bad thing. But it could see like it could be seen as being a little cutthroat, like say in the business world. Okay, along with that sharp tongue, you might have like a very sharp business sense. Some sign. Okay, some sign. So the King of Tombs as well. That's the same kind of energy, but it's just more akin to like a person. So like the king suits are all like the most mature, well-rounded people, right, in all of the court cards. And so when we're looking at the king, in this particular case, he is and this is like Pentacles, okay? So this is like earthly affairs, okay? Uh, he understands money. He understands business, okay? He doesn't let emotions cloud his judgment when it comes to getting the job done, okay? And I love that, like, you have no cup energy except for the Knight of Chalices, and that one is upside down. We'll talk about that in just a second. It's like the dark side of you is like if somebody starts crying in the middle of like a situation, and yeah, it's a sad situation, and you know that, and everyone else knows that, you would still be the one to like look at that person and be like, get it together, like not the time, okay? Assume strength even when you don't have it is what I'm getting from a lot of you. And so with the King of Pentacles, I'm also seeing that idea of being a good leader, being disciplined, being smart with money, not being somebody who relies on emotional or inspirational, like spiritual things. It's like you're more practical than that, okay? I'm sensing like more like scientific people, doctor people, in that sense of I definitely see you being like shrewd and unforgiving in the emotional department, which brings me to the Knight of Cups in reverse. With the Knight of Cups in reverse, Knight of Cups is usually like this guy on a horse, and he's like riding with this like cup held out in front of him, like he almost is wearing like his heart on his sleeve, kind of deal. And in the reversal, that could be seen a couple of different ways. It could be seen as like somebody who won't make a move, right? But I don't think that that's what I'm seeing for your darkness or your dark side or your shadow aspect. I think it could be perceived that way by some at times. It's almost like what I think it could be is like, a lot of times people, when they see the Knight of Swords in the reverse, they'll say, oh, you let your emotions like take over, or you have a hot temper, or you let your emotions cloud your judgment. I think in this particular case, with this spread, the way that it is laid out and the way that we're talking about the shadow and opposite aspects, I'm going to go ahead and take this reversal as you seeming cold to people, because you're not just going to rush out and just like hand a cup out to somebody for any reason whatsoever because they are emotionally pleasing to you. Does that make sense? Like, even if you like loved them, or they were like your family or your spouse or somebody that you were attracted to and wanted to like be with, you wouldn't just rush out and hand them this cup and this chance, okay, without some kind of like stipulation or study or planning involved, right? You also wouldn't settle for some mediocre-ishness, all right? Let's see how all that, and I think people see it as being kind of cold, detached, maybe a little selfish. Let's see how that appeals to your light side. Oh my. Oof. Well then. All right. I keep standing up and sitting back down because I'm trying to not shadow this. Shadow. I just keep making that joke over and over again. I did it with pile one. If you watched more than one, you're like, seriously, Miriam, get some new material. All right. I'm seeing that your shadow aspect makes you somebody who's good at giving bad news because you don't let that emotional stuff get in your way. It's like I could see you as being like good at being like a cop, a nurse, a mortician, a person who can just like handle a soldier, a person who can just handle the tough stuff that most people would buckle under because it's too hard, emotionally for them to deal with. You're able to really cut those emotions off, okay, in a way that is beneficial. Like somebody has to do that, okay? You think about people who like clean up like crime scenes for a living and things like that. Somebody has to do it. Like somebody has to do that. It used to be the families. Like not everybody's equipped to deal with that kind of thing. And so if you're a person that can deal with like the nitty gritty, that is like a way of shining light into the world. And see how the wings are like spread out and like they're kind of like, I feel like it's almost like a sheltering others with that strength. Okay. Also we have the stag. Yeah, very powerful strength, uh fatherly energy, like the big daddy card, right? Of like being the one that steps up, and you don't have to be male or a dad for that to like resonate with you. You're the one to step up and do what needs to be done when everyone else is kind of buckling under the emotional weight and pressure. And the fact that your shadow aspect is so able to move past that and do what you need to do, it doesn't mean that you're not a compassionate person. You just can put that aside to like be objective and do what needs to be done. Somebody has to do it, and that person is usually you. I don't even see this as being a burden for you, like emotionally. I do not see that. Okay, if I'm wrong, let me know. Yeah, fire baby, right along with that Queen of Wands. Okay, that idea of you're not just going to go for, you know, mediocrity. You're going to go for the real deal. You're going to go for the extreme if the extreme calls for it. Okay. And then we have the jester. Yeah, I think this kind of goes along with your witty and sharp tongue, even though people might take it as kind of harsh from time to time. I also see it as being a light aspect of you, of being able to like inspire and make people laugh, kind of like at the darkest of times. Like a lot of you have probably like kind of a dark sense of humor, but in a way that makes people feel better in dark times. And then we also have desire. Yeah, I'm seeing this as like a desirable quality that you have. Okay. That a lot of people wish they had those resources of strength. They wish they knew how you do it half the time. Okay. So let's go ahead and see how that folds into your life path. I know I kind of like spoiled part of that by talking about careers. I'm like, you might be good at this, you might be good at that. Talking about stuff that before I get to it. Oh, I'm feeling something. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put these right over the top. Oh, gotcha. Alrighty. Thank you. Let's see how all of this shadow dark side light balancing fits into your life path with this deck. Oh, baby. The sun. I love the sun card. It basically means that like even your cloudy skies are like, they have like a silver lining to them. Okay. Because of this like positivity that just radiates throughout your life. You're kind of that person that even though you were at ground zero and pulling people out of the rubble, right? That you are the one who remains unscathed. You might be the person who was medically taking care of everyone during a plague, and yet you're the one who never got sick. Does that make sense? You also kept it together and helped people while they were weak become more strong and get through it. We also have the aristocrat. Yeah, you keep your cool head when everyone else is falling apart. You can speak reasonably. You seem wise. Okay. Yes. I see like teacher vibes, administrator vibes, like leadership vibes, hardcore leadership vibes. Divergence. Yeah, you're able to divert when needed. You're able to focus in when needed. I'm seeing with the divergence card that you're also able to kind of show like almost duplicitous. I don't want to say duplicitous because that seems like two-faced, but like sort of this duplicity balance of light and dark, you know, hard and soft in a way. Okay, if that makes sense. I'm also seeing with the divergence card, like always look at like the images when you are looking at your cards, that a lot of times people will see images, or I will say a lot of times when I'm going through, because I watch pick a card readings all the time, and like I I sometimes see symbols in the cards that resonate with me that like the reader doesn't like say out loud or pick up on necessarily for the general reading, but to me individually, it sparks something in me. And so I always want you to like pause, zoom in, and then tell me, how that resonates with you. Um, I also see with, the divergence card that of this idea of like you very much knowing the right decision to make, the right choice to make. Okay. When everyone else doesn't know, like you know. Okay. And then I also have entanglement. And vigilance. Yeah. It's like no matter how entangled the situation is, no matter how dark the path, no matter how obscured the choice, you always are there to shine light and like wisdom onto that path with your vigilance. And it's because of that dark side, that ability to be cold when you have to be cold because somebody has to do it. I love it. And I love you, pile two. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope this reading was helpful. Go ahead and give me comments to tell me how it was helpful. Also, give me topic ideas in those comment sections. If you'd like to book a personal reading with me, there are a couple of different ways to do it in the description box. I also have an email for this account. If you ever want to ask me questions, I would always get back to you. I thank you so much. Have a wonderful day once again. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye. Hello, pile threes. So if you picked this deck for your reading, we're going to get into your dark side shadow aspects. Then we're going to use this deck to show how those aspects complement your light aspects. And then we're going to take the tarot cards and do some readings on what this means for you in your life path overall. Okay, so let's go ahead and just get started on your dark side. Mwahahaha. My. All right, I thought that we needed one more. Thank you. So let's go ahead and see what we can see. I apologize for my shadow as I stand up to make sure that I'm letting the camera focus on these up close for you. So first and foremost for your dark side, we have the novice, the water card, the ghost card, the marriage card, and the deceiver. Okay. Let me get my shadow out of your way. And let me get ready to do your reading here. So with the novice card, it's kind of an interesting thing to have for your shadow or your dark side, okay? I'm seeing for some that this means not so much that you are how can I say this? With the novice card, it's almost like you'll become new at something, but then you don't ever really like follow through with a lot of things. Okay, is what I'm getting for some of you. No judgment. I kind of do the same thing. Like I'll get into something like, for example, like I got into like playing guitar a lot, but like at the same time, like I never got past like the whole like novice part of just like learning a few chords and like throwing a few songs together. I basically just like got that far and then I just like never, really got any better at it, which is fine. But it's kind of like uh, no matter what, I never really became expert at it because I didn't like stay, you know, stay with it. Does that make sense? So with the novice card showing up for that way for some of you, for others, let me hang on. Let me look at these other cards. So I think that, okay. Now I see. I think for some of you, not all, but some of you actually might kind of do this thing where you have like little to no patience for a novice. Does that make sense? It's like if there's somebody new at the office or something and they're like, hey, so and so, will you train the new guy? You're usually like, oh no, I'm not training the new guy. You know what I mean? Like, why would I do that? I don't want to have to deal with it. Okay. So it's almost like you don't have patience for like the noob. Okay. Is also what I'm getting for the novice card. So hopefully that makes sense. Um, if it does not, the other thing that it could be, let me get a good sense of this. Hang on. It's almost like your dark side might be, or your shadow might be, that you're constantly in like beginner mind, and that's not like a bad thing, but it's almost like an innocence to the point of naivete for some of you. Like, for example, like, and this is just an example, I'm not picking this up for anybody specific, but like, for example, like being someone who like won't watch like anything about like bad things happening in the world because you don't want to think about that. And that's totally understandable. Nobody wants to have those downers, but it can make you a little naive about like how you conduct yourself if you're out in the world and things that might be like a little dangerous. Um, if you don't know about it, how are you going to protect yourself from it? With the water card being right next to the novice card, I also see you being kind of emotional at times, okay? Or sort of like your emotion is almost like naive as well, like a curious emotional like feeling, a like almost like a filled with wonder, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, kind of ready to like full energy, but full energy in the sense of like hurting yourself. Does that make sense? And so I see that as also being kind of like a dark side for some, is like that new beginner mind energy of like kind of jumping in feet first, but you might not like where you land because you didn't really think it through, kind of deal is what I'm saying there. With the next card being the water card, I'm seeing that as you also can be okay with being placid or like fixed in place, um, but also like content to like change and go with the flow. And that kind of goes with the people who like kind of don't ever stay in expert mode. You just kind of do novice mode and then just flow on to the next thing. It kind of holds you up. Okay. For those of you who don't have patience with the novices, you're kind of like not going with the flow enough because everybody's new at something at one point in their lives. Okay. And like, not everybody's always going to be on that same level as you. And getting frustrated just kind of like makes the process more unbearable to you. For those of you that are the innocent novice folk who are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, this can tend to be back to that emotional idea of like being content maybe when things aren't as good as they could be, getting caught up in the moment, right? And like not taking care of the responsibilities that you need to take care of, that kind of thing. With the ghost card showing up next to those, and I love that like picture is so like, oh, it's so cool looking. Um, I feel like with the novice card and the water card, that some of you might not um, realize this, but I think that some of you might kind of seem like a ghoster, okay? Like somebody who might ghost people. And it's not like you're um, like, ew, they're getting too close to me, so I'm going to ghost them. It's more like you're just busy going with the flow and having a good time. Some of you that like you forget about people and like kind of seems like you're ignoring them, okay? Um, for some of you, it's almost like the novice energy is kind of like a ghost of your younger self or your less experienced self. And your shadow or dark side is that you're not letting go of that. Does that make sense? Um, I'm also seeing that, like, if you get frustrated with the flow of early energy around you, especially if you have to be the teacher, I'm seeing it as kind of like this idea of like, you're fixed in your mind of how you think things should be and like resting on your old messages, old frame of mind, old laurels, so to speak, and old visions, and that you won't see like what the new kids are coming up with. It's kind of like that older man energy of like, kids these days just don't XYZ enough, right? Or they just don't make sense, or they just, and really they're just like regular kids, you know, all kids are kind of the same end of the day. But to the older person that's in that mode, it's kind of like they become almost like worse than they actually are with the way that they're seen because of that kind of like rigid, resting on old ideas, ghosty energy, if that makes any sense. Okay. With the marriage card showing up next, I'm seeing also like a, so the cup is right here and the cup is right there. Like I'm almost seeing like you, some of you are only like willing to marriage an idea or come together on something or compromise on something on your terms, that you're very rigid and you don't want to go with the flow or you don't want to let in new energy. Okay. Some of you are innocent to the point where you don't see things properly. And so you end up making deals with people who might deceive you. Okay. That's definitely a message that I'm getting for the innocent folk in this pile. Oh, I hate these three first because I always worry I'm going to leave something out. If I ever do, you can always like get a hold of me and be like, Miriam, what the heck was the part for the people who XYZ? All right, so we had the people who were, yeah, rigid and didn't want to go on with the new energy. We also have the people who are stuck in, yeah, in old novice mode, which means that it can kind of affect like mature relationships if you stay in that mode, and that's part of your darkness as well. With the deceiver, for the innocent people, it's just that simple. It makes you easier to be deceived. Okay. Especially if you don't go out and learn about what could possibly happen to you. And I know that's not the most fun topic to go explore, but you know, like self-defense classes and stuff like that, the reality of the world is that not everybody's going to be your friend. Okay. So with the deceiver card, I see that some of you are easily deceived if you're in that energy mode of being innocent. If you're always stuck in novice mode and you're not ever willing to like become expert at something, a lot of times you will find yourself having to kind of like, and I see this at like, I saw this in college a lot where like people would be like in like a major that maybe like they were realizing they weren't really cut out for, or maybe they just weren't cut out for college in general. And so like they would kind of lie and deceive to try to like make it look like they were actually into it more than they were, or that they were actually doing their homework and things like that, to try to like keep that novice energy of like not having to learn more. Like I know you've probably seen people like that at work where they kind of work really hard at like not working kind of deal. And so it's like when that energy takes place, and you stay stuck in it for too long and whatever that looks. I'm not saying that you guys have bad work ethic. That was just examples so that you can get a clear picture of it. Okay. When you stay in that novice energy, a lot of times if people start expecting you to be able to handle more mature, more experienced situations, you might have to fake it until you make it for a bit because you didn't pick up what you needed along the way because you were stuck in that ghost mode. Okay. So, did I get everybody? Did I get the impatient people? Oh, with the impatient people, those that are impatient with new energy and novice energy, sometimes it's kind of self-deceiving on our part to pretend that we were never in this mode ourselves in some way. Maybe not in that job or that thing that you've got that person in, but in some aspect, we've all been fish out of water at some point. So like, don't lie to yourself when you see somebody in this mode and like pretend like you can't understand where they're coming from and that you haven't been in that same boat. You might have handled it better, okay? But don't lie to yourself and say that. The other thing is like, don't pretend like you have nothing to offer those people either, because you do, okay? And when you're experienced and a novice shows up in your life, that's usually the universe telling you to help step up and impart that wisdom that you have, okay? Unless there's some kind of compromising situation that I'm not aware of, okay? Don't ever compromise yourself. This is a general reading. So let's see how these cards are affected by your light energy, how they affect your light energy and how they complement your light energy. So let's go ahead and get some reading on that. Ooh. Well, I'm filling this one. I'm filling that one. Alrighty. It is what it is. Let's see what we have for your light energy, my friends. We have a melting. Aww. And I'm gonna turn them over and then I'm gonna tell you what they mean. I know I can never decide how I want to do that, can I? It's just how I feel in the moment. Oh, seduction. That was the worst like cat growl ever. Like it's supposed to sound like, you know, like you're trilling your L's a little better than that. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. It was very guttural. I apologize. Okay, next we have patience. Ooh, we have exile. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of obscure. There we go. The light was kind of... And remembrance. Love the artwork in these cards. Okay. With your light aspects, here's what I'm seeing. We're just going to do this so you can see them all better. Alrighty. With the melting card, I think that those of you that are innocent, that are the innocent energy that I'm reading, like you kind of melt people's hearts with how like innocent and how like free flowing you are and how like innocent you stay no matter what. Like kind of like, even though you've been deceived, like it doesn't make you jaded. You just still like are willing to trust again. And I think that people find that like seductive about you, and like it melts their heart about you, and it makes them feel patience towards you when you are innocent, of like, oh, you know, like, because like you're so sweet that like that's kind of a rare thing in this world to have. And like, I'm not trying to like patronize you. I'm just saying that like it is a beautiful, like some people will see it as a beautiful thing. They see it as, it could be seen as like something that kind of exiles you from others, in the sense that you're kind of, you stay in that innocent mode so much that like people almost can't relate to you sometimes, but it helps them remember a time when they were that innocent as well. And that's a light balancing that I see going on with innocent people. With the people who get frustrated with novice new energy. Ooh. I see you as being someone who, with your light energy, it's like you don't have the patience, but that doesn't mean that like you're not willing to be patient with like people who aren't novices, okay? Because novice people irritate you so much. And you know that's just how they are. You just don't want to have to deal with being the one that has to take care of them or deal with the ramifications of being near them while they're, pardon the letter, but effing everything up around them all the time and like fumbling, okay? I see you as being kind of like patient and appreciative of the people who even are a little bit beyond what these guys are giving you, of like, oh, thank God you at least know how to do blah, 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 right? And I'm not just talking about work. I'm talking about like relationships, anything like that. Crowds, family, friends, etc., and so forth. School. With the melting card, I feel like if people show you even just a little bit of growth, and if these people actually show you that they're trying and start to improve, you melt very quickly and you're like, see, now you're getting it. And then it starts to kind of seduce you that they're learning. Okay. So the only time that I see you like completely losing patience and exiling people is when they refuse to try to get better. Does that make sense? And like, you're probably not going to be around that much until you see them actually even trying. And then you're going to step in and be like, oh, you're actually trying. And you do have the right idea, but let me help you refine that a little bit. Okay. And then you do slip into that remembrance of, yeah, I remember when I started learning things and things started to fall into place, then I can help them. Okay. So that's just an area where you shine a little bit more, is like not so much when they come in just completely and totally like blank eyed and waiting for anyone to show them what to do, especially people like we were talking about earlier, that example of like people who've spent an entire career not working because they just like are more scared of like learning how to work than they are actually like than they are of like people finding out that they never knew how to do their job. It's very strange. And I understand that frustration. I'm kind of in that mode as well, where I get frustrated with the very new situation, especially if they're not willing to learn. But once they start trying and putting some things together, that's when I remember like, oh yeah, I remember doing that, and I hop right in to help them, kind of situation. That's what I'm seeing for you. So let's see how that affects your overall life path with that energy you're currently rocking. Man, those really popped out, didn't they? Well, let's lay those ones down. Oh, there's only two. Hold on. I'm just going to kind of put these right over the top. I'm feeling that one. I'm feeling that one. And I'm going to shuffle. Ooh, no, I'm not. I felt that one. Okay. All righty. I'm going to stand up again and probably see my shadow, but we're going to get into it here. So life path with this energy, your light and dark energy combined. We have the Knight of Chalices. Hang on, wait a second. I talked about the ones who were, sorry guys, I forgot about, see, this is what happens every time. We're just going to set these aside real quick. I was talking about the people who were innocent, and I talked about the people who were frustrated, but I did not talk about the people who were stuck in novice mode themselves. Okay. Novice mode people. What I see about your light qualities and how your dark or shadow aspects of your kind of staying in novice mode for most of your, that's just kind of how you prefer to stay. What I'm seeing here with this light energy is that because you are willing to stay in that novice mode, it makes you kind of like also enduring to people, but it makes like life endearing to you and seductive to you in the sense that what makes you melt is like that joy of like finding something new and exciting. And that's often why you end up in novice mode. It's not because you just get stuck in it and you don't ever want to move forward. It's more like you move into a totally new thing. So you might have been playing guitar and then all of a sudden you take on stage acting, you know, and that thing was everything. And then all of a sudden it's collecting dust and you're over here excited about this new thing. And that's what makes you melt, is that new, exciting energy. You're not going to stay in that ghost energy. Okay. You're not going to stay in that patience mode of like, I'm going to wait and see how this develops and get really good at it. You're just going to move on to the next thing. Okay. And while that does kind of exile you from this like mature energy, it does help you build fantastic memories with your light. And it does help you find passions that you may never have found if you would have just stuck with one thing. And so I do see, like, with that energy going, like the challenge in your life is going to be deciding to choose like what you're really going to throw yourself into to master, and what you are just going to keep taking little bits and pieces of. And maybe you will just take little bits of pieces of something until it becomes something bigger. That is entirely up to you. Okay, so now let's go into life paths. So we have the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Tombs is the Pentacle suit in this deck, I believe. I always double check, because whenever it's not the traditional one, I always say the wrong ones in these awesome little videos that I try so much to do a good job and, you know, fall short every time. It's great. So I'm just trying to get to the menu so I can tell you guys. Okay, yes. Tombs, yes, are pentacles. Okay. Earth, okay, think of it as like the tombs come out of the earth, right? Or sticking out of the earth. Pentacles are the earth sign in traditional tarot, so that should help. I get thrown off a little bit because the moons are round and I automatically start thinking, those are pentacles. It's just my dyslexic brain. Okay. I'm like, I really do have dyslexia, just so you know. Okay, so we have the Four of Swords, the King of Cups, and the Five of Swords. Okay, so what I see for the three different energies that I got for this pile, let's start with the innocent people. So with the Knight of Chalices, I see that with your life path, you're always going to be willing to like take a romantic like dive towards something. Like you're never going to lose that romantic drive in any aspect of your life. And like, that's something I don't see ever going away for you. Okay. With the Knight of Tombs, which is the Knight of Pentacles, I also see it as being like, for the innocent people, that even though you're in that gung-ho energy, in your life path, like the Knight of Pentacles is usually the one that moves the slowest and like saves his money and is the most level-headed out of all of the knights. What I'm seeing with your energy, however, is that even though you're always in this like very romantic, young, innocent, like full energy, your life path is showing me that you always turn out okay. Like you always end up finding enough money. You always end up finding something to do. You just might change your career, you know, more often than not. And I see that as well for the people who stay in the novice energy as well. It's like the innocent ones, with the Knight of Pentacles, it's like, even if you are out there being innocent, the Pentacle energy is going to protect you. Earth is going to protect you. The universe is going to protect you. Also, with the Four of Swords, I'm seeing also that during your life, you're going to have those moments of like just ebbs and flows. And I see that for both the innocent people and the people that are stuck in novice mode. Okay. That you'll have those moments of rest. For the people who are frustrated by that novice energy, I am seeing that you just need to figure out a little bit of a balance between those two knights energy of like the level-headed versus the romantic emotional. Okay. And that sometimes in order to do that, you just have to kind of take a rest from them. And I feel that in your life, like you've kind of figured out that balance of like, just keep doing what you're doing of like when they're brand spanking you like that, let somebody else handle them for a second or observe them until you see them trying so that you can actually feel like comfortable helping them out. And then I think that you will flow along just fine. With the King of Chalices for the innocent people, I do see in your life path with the Five of Swords, eventually you are going to figure out that you, for the innocent people, that you are going to have some sort of strategy sometimes where you're going to have to make hard decisions. Like I see some of you down your life path having to actually like step up into a leadership role and maybe fire somebody. Step into a communicative role where you have to take a stand and stand up and advocate for yourself at like your job or in your relationships. Okay. I'm seeing that with that Five of Swords energy and that King of Cups energy, that you will mature over time over the course of your life path. You're not going to stay completely naive forever. But you're going to retain that innocence and like that love of fun. And the same thing with the people who are stuck in novice mode. You're never going to lose that emotional like joy. So like if you become a parent or a grandparent, you're never going to look at kids and be like, oh, these kids today are going to ruin the world. You're just going to see them as like charming and endearing, like children that you want to help. Okay. That bring you joy watching them grow. Okay. And that you would just use strategy to try to help guide them and help them communicate better in the world is what I'm seeing for the people stuck in novice mode and the innocent people. For the people who are frustrated by novice energy, the King of Chalices also shows that you will eventually find an endearing piece of your heart for that energy. It's just going to take some time. I think that a lot of the time, even just seeing a reading like this or having it pointed out to you will make you kind of see things in a different light, that instead of doing what you need to do, like I know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to go over here and be Five of Swords energy where I'm just going to pick up the swords myself. They can be over there, being idiots and slowing things down, being like noobs, right? And I'm just going to get this taken care of and I'll look better than them because I know what I'm actually doing. You'll actually realize that like helping and opening your heart will be more productive and will actually make you look better in the long run to superiors and people that you're networking with. Alrighty. That was a lot for that last one. I'm like wheezing. That was like the, the longest 3 readings in one pile. Oof, I love it when that happens. Okay, thank you so much, pile 3s. If you found this helpful, please tell me how it was helpful in the comment section. You can give me topic ideas in that comment section. You can book a private reading with me. If you wish, there are ways to do so in the description box. The links to this particular artist and their decks is in the description box. Anytime I can actually get an artist directly, I always try to make sure that I get as many links to their stuff as possible. So if I'm ever doing a reading with cards and you're an artist, or that I use your cards and I haven't given you credit yet, or, I haven't put the right links in the description boxes, just get a hold of me. I would gladly change anything you need, take anything down you need, announce anything differently that you need. All right. Thank you so much, my pile 3s. I think that is all I have. Oof, take care. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.